Welcome to Mr. V Teaching Math. In this session, we're going to look at measuring angles using a protractor. Hopefully, my earlier video on how to actually use a protractor. We'll look at a couple of basic types and practice a little bit on how to use these tools. So, we're going to take our protractor. This is classified as an acute angle. But I want to know exactly what the measure of its degrees are. So the first thing is I line up this point right here with my vertex, and then I get this line and I line it up on the bottom edge. As I mentioned before, I could actually do it this way if I felt like it. It doesn't matter. Either way, I'll get the right answer. This bottom edge is the one that's lined up, therefore I'm going to use the 0. That's the 0. So I'm using 0, 10, 20, 30. Hopefully you can see that in the video now. 0, 10, 20, 30. And if I go way out here, I can see that it's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4.5. So probably 34.5 degrees. That's the symbol for degrees. Now, the reality is, though, now it's 34 degrees. Now it's 35 degrees. And all of those actually would be accurate measurements. So in my class, if you're within at least 2 degrees of what the correct answer is, I'll mark it correct. Now let me demonstrate on an obtuse angle. Once again, I'm going to line up that point with the vertex. This edge is the bottom edge, therefore that's 0. And I'm going to count up. Many students just go over here and then pick a number at random. Start at 0 and count up to make sure you're using the right numbers. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 135, 136, 137, probably 138 degrees. Now, if you know your proper classification, you know that this is acute, and acute angles are less than 90 degrees, that obtuse angles are greater than 190 degrees. You're going to be able to catch some of your mistakes and make sure you're using the correct set of numbers. If, for instance, I had written down this was 42 degrees, because that's what it reads over here, and I went, wait a minute, this is greater than 90? That can't work. Now, what about when I'm asked to measure a reflex angle, like these ones? My protractor doesn't work back here. Well, the first thing you need to remember is that all circles, if I go all the way around in a circle, all circles have 360 degrees. I'm not going to measure the reflex angle. I'm going to measure this section and subtract it from 360, because if I went all the way around here, that would be 360. So if I measure this piece and subtract, that will leave me the outside piece. So once again, I line up my protractor, and I happen to be right-handed, so I always favor using the right-hand side. Somebody else might do something different. 0. This looks like 69 degrees. And I subtract, and I will end up with 291 degrees. I'm having a little difficulty subtracting today. Once again, I come to another angle that's quite similar. But what if this was one of the angles that went like this? This is more than a single circle. In order to calculate how much this is, I'm going to have to, I know that I have at least 360 degrees. So here's my single circle going all the way around. I've just counted that part. That's the single circle all the way around. Now I have to figure out how much that is. So I have 360 degrees already. Now, if you can imagine, and it might be helpful if you use a different color, I'm going to just quickly scribble out this section for myself. There, that's been done. I now have to focus on just that section. And I'm going to use the same trick I used up here. I'm not going to measure this. I'm going to measure the inside and subtract from 360. Not forgetting that I've already gone one full circle. Starting at 0, counting up. 100 and... Sometimes you don't have a line that's long enough, so I'm going to have to imagine extending the line. Sometimes, rather than imagining, it's very helpful to get another tool and put the tool down. Like this. And that gives me 114 degrees. So this is 246 degrees, plus the original 360 degrees. I end up with a total of 606 degrees. Oops, my degrees seem a little big. And that is how to measure angles.